Welcome. This is Our Money, a program on anti-corruption investigations. My name is Dennis Bihus. Just imagine $7.5 million. That's hard. Let me help. That's 75 kilos of $100 bills. Imagine having them. Imagine how much you could buy. Imagine almost anything you'd want. And someone comes up to you and says, "Hey, I have a suggestion. Let's exchange your $7.5 million for $5. And you're like, "What?" And he says, "You have $7.5 million, and you'll have $5. And $5 more I'll withhold for my services. You should agree." This is a once-in-a-lifetime proposition. And you think about that for some time and say, "Do you think I'm an idiot?" But if you're the head of the head of the National Guard of Ukraine, you don't say anything. You just silently sign the contract. Watch Maxim Opanasenko's report on alternative business practices of the National Guard. Kyiv suburb. To get to this dormitory, you'll have to walk 15 minutes from the nearest metro station. The National Guard servicemen live here. Military Unit 2260 spent around $37,000 to rent beds for its fighters here. Here is the unit's base. One of the most beautiful in the country. The building is a heritage asset. The location is the center of Kyiv. A university, shops, cafes, Pechersk metro station, all within walking distance. Its location could not avoid attracting construction companies. In the 2000s, the military gave a part of their land to a private construction company to build apartment buildings. The contract was classified. The aristocrat apartment complex is almost finished. It's being built by Ukrba Development. The National Guard allowed it to be built on almost a hectare of its land and became the official employer. But what does the military get in exchange? Throughout the year, the National Guard has refused to disclose the contract with the construction company numerous times. A parliamentary inquiry got us a copy of the documents and an understanding of the reason for classifying them. Firstly, the National Guard, being the owner of the land, had to get 20% of the aristocratic apartments. This amounts to 50 apartments of a total area of more than 4,000 square meters and 30 parking lots. But in October 2016, Yuri Alarov, the commander of the National Guard, agrees to amend the contract. The construction company now has to give the military not 50, but 65 apartments, but in another place. 10 minutes through the forest, and you're not in Kyiv anymore. This is Boryspilska street, and to put it mildly, it's not really in the center of Kyiv. Entertainment here includes a tank factory and a stroll to the metro. That's all. This is where the Obery apartment is located, where the National Guard servicemen will live instead of Pechersk district. Yorhi Mikhilny, a city planning expert, has been following schemes like this for a couple of years. He says that it's evident that an exchange like that is not of equal worth. If you look at the current prices, the difference would be more than 2 times, not less than $3.7 million. That's how much was lost by the exchange. The aristocrat apartments cost at least $1,500 per square meter, while a parking spot costs $24,000. The National Guard has relinquished property worth $7.4 million. A square meter in Obery costs $611, and there are no parking lots. The 65 apartments the National Guard got there aren't worth even $3.7 million. The difference amounts to $4 million. It is more than the price of all the apartments the National Guard has agreed to get instead. But the documents got it all right and were approved by an independent expert. Last year, you have evaluated the flats for the National Guard, but their real market price differs a lot. The apartments at Boryspilska Street are almost 2 times cheaper than those at Kyiv Street. You can see it even on the website of the construction company. I wanted to ask you, how did you come to this conclusion? Well, I'm not going to answer this on the phone. Alicia Hrunshenk's evaluation said that the apartment on Kyiv's fringe appeared to be more expensive than those in the aristocrat. Firstly, I can't see the person talking to me right now, you understand. If you need to talk to me, we can meet somewhere and talk. When can we meet? I'm busy today. I have 2 meetings. We could meet tomorrow after 11 a.m. The next day, the woman doesn't answer the phone. It's understandable, because she would have had a lot to explain. We found information on at least 2 criminal cases which mention her name. Both are about intentional underestimation of property prices. Even more, the State Property Fund deemed Hrunshenk's evaluation of the National Guard property worthless. What made the Guards resort to an outright fraud? The Interior Minister Arsen Avakov, who controls the National Guard, heard about the situation for the first time from us. Well, you know more about it than me. Make a request and I'll answer. The commander of the National Guard refused to comment on his strange housing tastes, claiming to be in poor health. Alexander Yarosh, head of accommodation, had to explain this to us. Actually, to answer the question about how they could have agreed to that, the National Guard could have just said that their tastes are very singular. You wouldn't understand. But they sincerely tried to explain that which cannot be explained. One of the reasons we agreed to that exchange is to minimize the risks related to the construction. Yeah, okay. The National Guard thought the construction company could fail a lucrative project in Pechersk, while that thing in the forest will surely be completed by the same company. Also, the apartments which were planned in the complex on Kyiv Street, they were too big. Well, they were planned for the market, as you may know. The size of the apartments is the same at both locations. They're just big flats. But even if you think that the guardsmen don't have to live in big flats, you could have sold the apartments and bought many smaller ones in worse places. Many instead of the same, but twice as cheap. We can't give parking lots to servicemen for free, or even for money. This is not provided for by the housing code. We have agreed to give up the land to have parking lots, but we can't use them, so we gave them up too. Makes sense. When the conversation touched the evaluation, the commander started to worry. The conditions of our agreement provided for the exchange of apartments according to their market prices, and the agreement said that the market price must be evaluated. We have conducted an evaluation, determined the price. According to the first evaluation, the price of 50 apartments with parking lots amounted to $4.7 million. The price of apartments on Boryspilska Street was $5 million.
Вартість 50 квартир разом з паркінгом склала у нас 126 мільйонів. А вартість квартир по Бориспільській склала 138 мільйонів.
Did you hear that? Apartments on the outskirts were evaluated to be more expensive than those in the center. The National Guard was not surprised. The evaluator was referred to them by experts. They hired me. The evaluation client was Ukrbud Development. This is the company which participated in the construction of the building on Shorsha Street. How can you not trust an old and proven partner? Ukrbud Development conducts almost all of the construction of apartment buildings for the Interior Ministry. It's their main construction partner. How many buildings like that are there? At least 5.
Минимум объекта будет 5.
An absurd evaluation to get $3.7 million is among the traditions of this partnership. A lot of criminal cases are opened against Ukrbud's projects, which are investigated by the Interior Ministry, which has commissioned those buildings. There are a lot of criminal cases. This is not about politics, it's just business. Although, after Hryntsyuk was deprived of her license for violations, the National Guard decided to conduct another evaluation. We have contacted an evaluation firm, Mercury Partners, which had a good reputation in the evaluation market for 10 years. The new evaluator has reaffirmed Hryntsyuk's evaluation results, which is not surprising because Mercury Partners' head is Hryntsyuk's father. Well, Alerov did everything he could to lose those $3.7 million for sure. This is the worth of 70 apartments on the outskirts, a whole riser block of them. But sure, why do the guardsmen even need apartments? They'll manage.
Навіщо гвардійцям квартири? Переб'ються.
Head of National Guard of Ukraine, Yuri Alerov. During his 2 years of leadership, he acquired neither a car nor an apartment in Kyiv. His wife is employed at the National Guard's battle forces. His son is a serviceman. His daughter, Katerina Pustinikova, is the only civilian in the family, and she doesn't declare her assets. In a couple of months after the National Guard exchanged $7 million for $3.7 million in the construction company's benefit, Katerina makes 2 major purchases. She bought a Grand Cherokee worth around $55,000, and she bought an apartment in the Makitsa Sloboda complex, which cost the same. Its construction company is Ukrbud yet again. You know, I can make an official statement saying no comment. But I want to say that my daughter worked at a pharmaceutical company and earned $2,000 per month. We couldn't find any information on Alerov's daughter in the context of pharmaceutical companies, but we have found something. Sometime before buying the apartment, she registered as an entrepreneur conducting office activities and law practice, but in Lviv, 1,500 kilometers away from home. To get yourself set up like that takes skill. You do not even need to calculate square meters and distances. But what was the reason? Childlike naivete of the guardsmen, or good old selfish interest? The first option is hard to believe. 6 months ago, the National Agency for Corruption Prevention, which deals with the declarations, hid a number of declarations of military prosecutors from its website on a request by the Military Prosecutor's Office. They were really persuasive, it seems. The secrecy gave rise to a lot of questions about the contents of the hidden declarations. Find out more in Danilo Mokruk's report. Wait. Go. That's her. Let's go.
Точно вона? Давай, поїхали. Сірі, давай, десь там впереді.
This is Dmytro Borzik, deputy of head military prosecutor Anatoly Matyos, and a very mysterious person. In April this year, Matyos has issued a directive for the NACP to unpublish Borzyk's declaration. Actually, not only Borzyk, but of dozens of other military prosecutors as well. To ensure the safety of our employees and their families, the prosecutor has issued this directive. We have demanded an immediate execution of the directive. The NACP said that it was an emergency and temporary measure, but the agency itself doesn't know how temporary that measure is. The military prosecutor's office had no right to demand from the NACP to hide the declarations. The NACP had no right to make the decision. The fact that the decision was made in secret and we have only discovered it afterwards shows that this was done to hide the declarations of certain prosecutors. All that remains are unofficial copies at the declaration website. We can't use them at court, but we can check them, at least to get a feel for Borzyk's honesty. These are the copies of Borzyk's declarations. Let's see. A house in Lysniki, doesn't say how much he pays for it. What else? Toyota Camry, declared price is $11,000. Annual salary is $14,000. Sale of real estate for $18,500. Bought by a foreign citizen, Konstantin Borzyk. I wonder what kind of a foreign citizen he is, if Borzyk himself is from Luhansk. Well, let's go to Lysniki to look for that house. Vinohradna Street. That's our house. With the green roof, I think. I think I saw photos of it. Yes, this is the house. We'll have to take a turnaround. Let's park lower to be out of sight. Toyota Camry has arrived 10:30. Barely managed to turn on the camera. What's next? Oh, that's a Range Rover Avake. Some woman is driving it. She's not in the declaration. Neither is the Range Rover. While we were driving around, they've hid not only Borzyk's declaration, but also his work history. The General Prosecutor's Office gave us Anatoly Matyos' work history, but not Borzyk's. Seems like he's more classified. Thus, we had to gather information by ourselves, and here's what we came up with. Dmytro Borzyk is 35 years old, he is from Luhansk, worked as a prosecutor in Lenivsky District Court of Luhansk, moved to Kyiv in 2012. Later, he was in the General Prosecutor's Office under Pshonka. That's when Dmytro Borzyk was cited at court with a pen worth $1,500. Then there was the revolution, change of government, military prosecutor's office. And after Anatoly Matyos became the head military prosecutor, Dmytro Borzyk became his deputy. Second attempt. Matyos' deputy just went out for a morning jog. We didn't film him. Good job. He got home, we filmed it. There's the Toyota Camry. Some nice people told us that it's his license plate. He left alone, and she... here's the Range Rover. Start the car, follow her. Go, go, go. That's it. The red light here is at least 20 seconds. Hey, Rustam. You sure she'll go to Litsniki to Kyiv this way? Yeah, this is the way to Kyiv. We must tail her. Yeah, because she may drive her Range Rover at a speed we can't match. Wait. That's her. Go. Where's she going? And she's going to Prosecutor Street. What's her business there? We have seen this Range Rover on Prosecutor Street a couple of times. What's there? Turned out this is the editorial of the UNN website, connected to Hannah Herman. This is where the owner of the expensive car works. A short dossier. Daria Polikova, 28 years old. She was an assistant to Party of Regions MPs, Mykola Zlochevsky and Igor Lisov. Now on her Facebook, she voices support for Andrei Portnov, Olena Bondarenko, and even Mykola Azarov. Last year, she bought an apartment in Parkova Misto complex. Its market price is around $111,000. She lives with Dmitro Barsink in the house in Lysniki. We need to figure out how much the rent of the Lysniki house is. We've talked to experts who have told us the approximate market price. Around $1,000 a month is reasonable for this one. If it's in a great condition, then $1,800. I think that the rent will start at $1,500 for a house like that, or more. This may even be $5,000 and more. Let's take the least amount, $1,300 per month without maintenance and other things. That's $15,600 annually. This is $1,800 more than his annual salary. But that's secondary. We found a realtor who has visited the building when it was rented out. We're coming to him. There's a pool, solar panels to heat the pool, a landscape design plot, a spacious and efficient house. I'd have loved to live there. What else can I tell you? What was its price then? It was $3,500 then. $3,500, that's 90,000 hryvnia a month. Expenses this big must be mentioned in the declaration, at least according to the law. But if we find the owner's phone number and call them, we will discover that Dmitro Barzik had rented this house. He does not anymore. Another person rents it now, and that person is Daria Polikova. And she lives there on special conditions. This isn't really rent, so to say. I have a friend who brought this Daria over because I'm strongly opposed to renting. This is the only way because we don't live there anymore. And we are afraid to leave a house like that empty, you see? We have looked for someone who could help us. We looked for decent people we already know. So that's when my friend brought Daria over. I have absolutely no idea about who, what, or how, okay? So at first they proposed to rent the house for $3,500 as usual. Then they let some Daria live there on unknown conditions. And who, what, and how are exactly the questions we want to ask Dmitro Barzik. Because the source of Polyakova's car, apartment, and so on is not important. If she has it and they live together, then it must be in Dmitro Barzik's declaration. Dmitro agreed to talk to us, but only on the condition that our chat would be recorded. What did he say? He refused to comment on his family, said that his brother is indeed a citizen of Russia, and he has no problem with that. He is. Is there a problem? He's been in Germany for 11 years. He has a residence permit. It's hard to understand why a Russian citizen who has lived in Germany for 11 years would buy an $18,500 property in the war-torn Luhansk. You rented a house in Lizniki. I did, according to the 2016 declaration. You don't anymore? I rented it according to the 2016 declaration. So you don't rent it anymore. I'm renting an apartment, won't tell where. I have the right to, don't I? Why didn't your declaration then mention the expenses for renting the house? Because this is not provided for. I only have to if the amount is 50 or more times higher. And our main hero, Daria Polakova, who owns a flat for $111,000 and a Range Rover, refused to comment. The declarations include civil partners and cohabitants. I don't comment on my family. Topics closed. In July this year, Dmytro Barzik filed a request in his own name for his declaration to be checked. The Prevention Agency said there are no grounds for a check. Thus, Dmytro Barzik is a certified honest declare. The curtain closes. Ms. Daria, good day. Our money, Danilo Mokrik. Do you live with Dmytro Barzik? Don't break the equipment, please, Ms. Daria.
А на сьогодні все. Дивіться нас.
That's all for today. Watch us on YouTube, write us on social media, and if you have something interesting, feel free to email us. See you on air in a week. Goodbye.
Ми побачимось вже за тиждень. До зустрічі.